Well, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending upon where you are. And welcome to RobMotive Live. First of all, quick weather report before we get into the meat of it. And we're going to get into the meat of it pretty damn quick. First of all, it is 88 degrees here, and it is pretty darn sunny outside, which means it's going to be an even hotter day than it is right now, right? Let's take a quick look. I'll show you guys. You can see there's the jungle out there, but we're not really here to talk about the jungle or the heat or any of that kind of stuff. We're here to talk about this newly released, or these newly released sales numbers, I guess, from Toyota. And I have them right in front of me. Now, there's going to be a bit of a more in-depth I guess, video tonight. It airs at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time or 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And we're going to look at the Nissan numbers as compared to the Toyota sales numbers. Real quick, if you haven't yet, make sure you click that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos, including maybe the downfall of the Toyota Tacoma. I hate to say that. Carlos Gonzalez, hello from Puerto Rico. Carlos, how you doing? Anyway, we're going to get into the numbers here in just a second. Want to give a chance for a few more people to get on, if anybody else does get on. But if you didn't know, there's been a lot of hate, I guess, out there about the new Toyota Tacoma. Pricing, engine being the 4-cylinder turbo, of course. It is not well liked amongst the Toyota faithful, I guess, or the Tacoma faithful. Honestly, I have one. It is the 2024 Tacoma right here. I did buy one, but after seeing these sales numbers come out, I'm starting to think maybe I'm in the minority. I like the truck, but it seems to me like there's a lot of people that don't, for a couple of reasons. One, of course, is the pricing, and two, as I mentioned, is that 4-cylinder turbo. I don't know if it's just the unknown about that engine. It must be, because it hasn't been out long enough for anybody to really get into it, right? Paperboy, yo, what's up, Paperboy? Anyway, I don't know if it's just the unknown. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it, but the biggest problem is the pricing. That's the biggest problem. Hello, John in Westminster, Colorado. John, how you doing there, buddy? But anyway, it seems to be the biggest factor is the pricing. I mean, that's what I'm getting from some of the comments and things I've put out on the channel. We're going to go over the sales numbers here in just a minute. Hot off the presses from Toyota. Wow, it's dismal. It's dismal. And I would hate to be one of the Toyota execs right now. I imagine we're going to see some of those videos of people jumping out of windows and things. You know, they take this stuff very seriously over in Japan. Gary H., good morning, Rob from the Northwest. Gary, how you doing there, buddy? Kevin Cocos, hello from South Carolina. Hello, Kevin. Anyway, I would hate to be one of those upper execs, particularly if you happen to be on the committee. I guess they'd have it as a committee, group, team, as we say today in the corporate world. Everybody's on a team. But how would you like to be on that team that came up with the Toyota pricing and the decision, I guess, that was made to go to the 4-cylinder turbo? How'd you like to be a member of that? Prepare and protect. William and Allen, Republic of Texas, good morning. William, how you doing there, buddy? I see you on the channel a lot, by the way. Stephen Franklin, hello from Cocoa Beach, Florida. Stephen, how you doing? By the way, if you didn't know, I am in deep South Texas, almost in Mexico, practically. We're about 30 miles away from the border or something like that. So let's get into it without further ado. These are the Toyota US sales summary numbers. Recently released, I think it was probably a day or two ago, something like that. So let's start off. The Toyota Tacoma for the first quarter. Wow, 8,310 Toyota Tacomas that were sold. Now, you have to take this with a grain of salt, because remember, the EPA put a hold, they didn't really put a hold, they just didn't get the certificates released for the Tacoma right away, right? So that ate into sales. Toyota couldn't sell the Tacoma. They couldn't ship to dealer lots is what I was told. They couldn't start doing that until the very end of January or February. So of course that put a bite in the numbers because they couldn't get any trucks out. Nonetheless, let's look at the next line here. This is comparing the figures for the first quarter 2024 to 2023 to 2024. 8,310 for 2024, or 3. Hard to keep all these numbers straight. I got a bunch of numbers in front of me here. For 2024, 8,310. For 2023, 18,674 Tacomas sold in the first quarter. 18,674. Wow, that is a hell of a difference. It's a difference equating to a reduction of 55.5%. They sold over half less than what they sold in 2023 in 2024 on this new redesigned Tacoma. Now, again, keep in mind, they couldn't start delivering until really February, so there's a whole month out of there. But I went ahead and I just took the 2 months that they were able to sell, divided it by 2, and then I added that figure to come up with maybe an equivalent number. It's 4,155. So if I add that to the 8,310, you get 12,465. Still well below 18,674, right? That still represents a 33.2% drop. But I'm here to tell you that 33.2% does not carry through. Bill W., hello Rob from Truntville, PA. Hello Bill. Stephen Franklin, hello Rob from Cocoa Beach. Got that. Elizardo, Rob, you got the scoop hot out of the press. I'm glad I'm working from home. Good to have you here. Jimmy Pham says hi, and Steve Franklin says 6,000 units less. It's crazy. And even when I add in, when I try to account for that first month that they couldn't sell because of the EPA certificate fiasco, they're still 33.2% down. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the current year to date because it gets worse. How could it get worse? It gets worse. If you look at Tacomas sold year to date current, and that's as of when this report was put out, of course, the number is 21,558. Sounds like a lot of trucks, right? Not when you compare it to the same time frame for 2023. In 2023, they sold 53,583. 53,583. That represents a 59.8% drop. That is absurd. Now, let's account for that 4,155 number I added to the first one to kind of try to balance out that month that they couldn't sell as a part of the whole year to date. So when we do that, you still get a 52% reduction. So even when I add in my calculated number, and that's just taking the 2 months they were allowed to sell, or I guess allowed to sell, divide it by 2 and add it in, they're still 52% below where they were at the same time in 2023. It's insane to me. I mean, I knew from all the comments and things out there that the new Tacoma wasn't the most popular beast in the world, right? BX staff, why you not out driving the rig? Get off the internet and drive, sir. That's like saying, why are you sitting at work making money to support your family in your home? To hell with it, just go out and drive. What kind of comment is that? That's the second time you've made that comment. Makes no sense to me. Bill Dub, BX, because he has this site to maintain. Bill, see, Bill gets it. Bill's a smart fella. He understands. I digress. 52% adjusted with my figure is still horrible. That means, of course, they've sold less than half of the number of trucks they sold same time last year. How can you survive doing that? Now, granted, there is a big profit in trucks. We all know this, right? Ford makes a ton on the F-150s. Everybody else makes a ton on selling trucks. So there is a big profit margin. But can you really afford to lose over half of your sales? That's certainly got to make a dent. Not to mention, Toyota with the Tacoma has held the #1 spot in mid-size truck sales for years. Everybody has been clamoring, throwing new things out there at the market. Ford brought back the Ranger. Chevy brought back the Colorado. Nissan still did have the Frontier. And speaking of the Nissan, there's some interesting numbers there as well. I have a video airing at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time tonight, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on this channel, where I'm going to go over and we're going to compare the Nissan numbers to this as well. Is there a new king in the mid-size truck market? Has the Tacoma been dethroned? You might be surprised. I was surprised. I can't believe what's going on. Toyota has to be scrambling. So what can they do? What can Toyota possibly do now that they've lost, it seems, part of the market? Let's see. BX says you can't drive, do this, love your stuff, just busted. My 2023 is nicer than the Frontier. I got you. So you're just giving me a hard time. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'm just giving you a hard time too. It's only fair, right? So what can Toyota do? Fire their whole staff? Big deal. So they fire everybody. You know, they have a new CEO, right? Was it his decision? Did the old CEO leave because he had a vision? He knew what was coming with the new Tacoma? Is that why he really left? You know, the word out there was that he said he was getting too old. He was out of touch. I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if that's the case at all. I think maybe he saw the writing on the wall and he didn't want to be the one responsible for the downfall of the #1 mid-size truck for years. That's my conspiracy theory. He knew what was going to happen and he got the hell out of there before all of this took place. But as I asked, what can Toyota do? I want to see in the comment section. We got 107 people on here. Certainly you guys have some ideas. What do you think Toyota can do? I'm sure Toyota is asking people out there now. Let's see, Toyota can make sure the Tacoma is built bulletproof. Oh, absolutely. Can you imagine what's going to happen if there's a big problem with this new Tacoma? Can you imagine what would happen? You've got the high prices, the Turbo 4, half of the sales that they've had before, and then there's some major problem. I bet you Toyota is sweating bullets right now. If there was a major breakdown, a major problem, it could be the end of the Tacoma. You might even see Ford and Chevy jump up there above the Tacoma. I mean, I could see it right now. That's all, and I'm sure these other manufacturers, they're drooling out there. They're loving this, right? And they're sitting there praying for a big problem with the Tacoma because that'll put maybe the final nail in their coffin, right? Michael, Rob, I just road trip from PA to Arizona and saw only 3 new Tacomas on the road trip. They are not selling. Road full of Gen 3 tacos and 4Runners. This is a dead horse. I don't know. It could be. Troy Build Adventures. Need a new redesign in 2026. LOL 6-cylinder. Do you think they'll bring back the 6-cylinder? I mean, do you have any idea how much money it takes to retool and set up for a whole new powertrain, engine, transmission, all the other little bits and pieces that go into it? I think they'd lose their arse if they did that. But then again, they're already losing their arse. 52%, my number. It's actually 60% if you don't figure in the lost trucks that could have sold when the EPA fiasco was going on. But they're already losing it. I can only imagine. Let's see here. Chuck McDonough thumbed up. Kevin Kokos, lower the price, too expensive. They're doing that. I have gotten reports from people on the channel and seen in other forums, I guess, that Toyota is now offering discounts or rebates, whatever you want to call it, on the new Tacoma. As much, I've heard, as $3,000, $3,000. Still, you're talking about a truck that, forget about all the dealer markups and add-ons and junk, right? You're talking about a truck that comes in priced at, I don't know, $45,000, $47,000, and I'm talking about the TRD trim line. You take $3,000 off of that, and you're looking at $42,000 to $44,000 plus tax and tags and license and all that junk. So you're still looking at $45,000, right? We're closer. Is that enough? Is $3,000 enough, in your opinion, you guys watching and gals out there? Is $3,000 off? Let me ask you, and be realistic. I know we'd all like to walk to the dealership because we don't have a vehicle, and have Toyota hand us the keys and not have to pay a dime. We'd all love that, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? But realistically, how much of a reduction, let's just a number off, would you like to see, or would you need to see to be able to interest you in the Tacoma, assuming that you don't care about the 4-cylinder turbo? Because if the 4-cylinder turbo is what's really holding people back, it is a dead horse. Because no matter how much money they give you off, you're still going to have the 4-cylinder turbo in here, right? And if that's your main concern, maybe not so much pricing, it doesn't matter what Toyota does when it comes to pricing, right? According to a lot of people out there, and I know this is not true, but we wouldn't take it if they gave it to us. Come on, who wouldn't take a vehicle if they gave it to you? I'd take any vehicle if somebody gave it to me. Who wouldn't? Are you nuts? Let's see. Wow, we got a lot of comments. I'm curious as to what you guys are seeing, or saying rather. Lower the price, too expensive. I agree. Bill W., higher tech does not sell me. Longevity does. I trusted the V6. Scott, make a diesel Tacoma. I don't see that happening, honestly. Seventh King, what do you think about their new 24K pickup, the Champion? Will it come to America? Probably not. You know, the big rumor was the Stout. The Stout was going to come to America. I doubt it. Jimmy Pham thumbed up. Seventh King said it's the Hilux, Hilux. I never can get that name right. Champ. Stephen Franklin, dealerships were partly responsible for the price gouging. Yeah, they were. Dealer markups, market adjustments. That certainly didn't help sales. It didn't. But Toyota, you can't tell me Toyota doesn't have some kind of grip on their dealers, right? Their dealer network. I mean, they assign franchise licenses. They also determine how many trucks go to each dealer, right? So they certainly could have affected that dealer markup thing by saying, if you keep doing this, we're not sending you any trucks. I don't know. So I blame Toyota as well. It's a shared thing. Prepare and protect. They will lower the price through incentives and rebates, but still it's stuck with 4 cylinders. That's what I'm talking about, right? Northwest, truly the PT Cruiser of Toyota. Rick Sapula, over the weekend I saw many new Tacomas on the lot here in the Northeast. I'm hearing that a lot. Florida, nope. Joe Turcotte. Toyota is supposed to be coming out with $10,000 trucks, supposedly. No way. No way. No way. That'd be like the Hugo of the Toyota world. I don't see that happening. Stephen Franklin, $3K will be made up in the finance charges. It's not enough. That's true. We're also dealing, and this probably has something to do with it, but not when you look at the sales of other manufacturers out there, because people are still buying. I don't know if that's true or not, man. Anthony Barano, VBB, I don't know what that means. Florida says nope again. Florida is a man of, or woman of many words. Bill W, 3K reduction is not enough. Sorry. Florida says have 20 Tundra. I guess that means you have a 20 Tundra. A Samosa, at least $5,000 reduction. Wow. So assuming it's a $45,000 MSRP on the truck, you're talking about a $40,000 Tacoma. That's going to be getting probably pretty close to what they sold for last year. I don't know if they do that, honestly. Andy also has a runner. Travis Ringley, all the car companies will have to go back to the V6. The gas mileage is not much better in the 4-cylinder, so what's the point? You know what I would have loved to have seen? I mean, I don't hate the new Tacoma with its 4-cylinder turbo. I don't. I'm not going to lie to you. I like it. However, what I would have liked to have seen was a V6 with the new transmission, the 8-speed transmission, and even better would have been a V6 turbo with the new transmission. It would have been awesome. Of course, the price would have been even higher probably, and you know how that goes. I have my limits as well. I mean, $50K. I'm not paying over $50K for a Toyota Tacoma. I won't do it. There's not enough value in it for me. I'm not doing it. Joseph says, LOL, rot is setting in. Florida, service on turbos, yep. Taco Hog, what's up, Rob, from Palm Springs? Taco Hog, how you doing? Taco Hog, what's up, Rob? Or rather, loving my 24 all-black TRD Sport. A lot of people aren't. I just went through the sales numbers. If you're just kicking in here, I suggest after the video's over and it posts, or better yet, this evening at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, I have a full video coming out, including comparison of the Nissan Frontier, what everybody says they're going to, instead of the Tacoma. So if you want to see that, make sure you click that subscribe bell, turn on the notification thing, and you can check out that video tonight. Toyota is in trouble. The Tacoma is in trouble. Let's see. Nordland AK. No excuse for prices on the new Tacoma. Made in Mexico means cheap labor past the savings. Ford made in USA and prices are lower. I don't know. Half of Tacomas have been made in Mexico for years. I don't know that they were passing on the savings at that point. I mean, we all know labor and everything else is cheaper in Mexico, right? They're trying to maximize profits, as are any of the companies who outsource overseas, whether it's Mexico or wherever, you know. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. You know, if I had my preference, everything sold in the US would be made in the US, but good luck. That's not realistic. Let's see. Seventh King, when I was upgrading my 2019 Sport and looking for a newer one, I instead went with the 23 off-road long bed instead of the 24s, the 4-cylinder. It'll hold more value than the new ones. We don't know. We don't know whether the 24s are going to be lower in value or not. We won't know that for a few years. Mike Wilson, not seeing many new GM, Ford, or Nissan midsize trucks on the road. I don't either. Down here, you see tons of Tacomas. I haven't seen one new Tacoma on the road down here except for my own. Now, I do know they're selling, but I'm not seeing them in my area. So, I don't know, man. Mail order gamers, over 50K is 10K too much. For me, it's at least 5K, 6K too much. It is too much. Dennis Johnson, the point is emissions, not miles per gallon. It's government mandated. Prices need to drop 3 to 5K. I think, me personally, I think that's probably a more realistic range, honestly. And if you're not going to buy one for that price, you're probably not going to buy a Tacoma no matter what. Mail order gamers, I'm not a fan of the front end look of the new Tacoma. Really? That's one of my favorite things of the new Tacoma, honestly, is the front end. I like the spoiler up there, or the hood scoop up there, and I like the slots in the fenders. I think it makes the truck look meaner, more aggressive. Let's see, Pimp J. I just picked up a Tacoma Land Cruiser high roof 60 series turbo diesel RHD, and oh goodness, that thing is sweet. Well, congratulations. Mike DeAngelis. Hey Rob, my RX 350 was built in Japan and worth every penny. When and if Toyota starts building their trucks again in Japan, I'll consider. Not gonna happen. Not too much money. They can't afford it. Marcus Galvin, what would you say would be the best short shifter for a second gen Tacoma? No idea. I have no experience with short shifters. Seventh King, there's a difference between made and assembled in Mexico. Wish it wasn't as expensive to manufacture here as anywhere else. Right, I mean, it's not manufactured. Nothing is manufactured really anywhere anymore. I mean, unless you're like, say, a wood carver, and you've got a big old oak in your yard, and you hack it down, and you use your fingernails to carve it out. Because if you buy a knife, it's probably not made in the US. The steel probably came from somewhere else, and the sheath and all that stuff. That's getting picky. It's reality. We don't like it. We don't want it, but it's the way it is, unfortunately. Kiki. Kiki says, new generation Tacoma versus 3.6 previous generation versus V6. Elizardo, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. That's right. And the subscribe button while you're in here. It'd be cool. Let's see. Troy Build Adventures. If you compare the new Tacoma with the Chevy Colorado Z71, you get more value for the Colorado. Why? People are saying that. What am I going to get value-wise in the Colorado Z71 that I'm not getting in the new Tacoma? And I'm assuming you have some experience with the new Tacoma. So if you don't, I don't know how you can say that, but what am I going to get? Kiki, I like the look of the new generation, but not sure of the 4-cylinder. See, I like the 4-cylinder. I don't have any problems with it. And don't get me wrong. As I mentioned, I would have preferred to have had the V6 with a turbo, with the 8-speed transmission. I think if Toyota would have done that, or just the V6 with the new transmission and maybe a different tune for the V6, I'm talking about the factory setup, not one of those aftermarket things, it would have been a hit. I think they would have done well. They probably could have raised the price, you know, a couple of grand or something or whatever, instead of 8,000, 10,000, whatever the hell it is. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that. Let's see. Elizardo, price 4-cylinder plus turbo, and the 3rd gen is a unicorn. It may be. Time will tell. We don't know. Carlos says, LOL, fingernails. That's right. It's the only thing, and you had to have been born here, because if you weren't made in the U.S., you don't count, right? Because, I mean, everybody wants everything made in the U.S. I mean, first of all, good luck. It's not going to happen. It sucks, but it is the way it is. Fingernails. High Plains 1. Definitely buy the stuff made in Japan at these prices. You can't buy a Tacoma made in Japan. You haven't been able to buy a Tacoma made in Japan. Have you ever been able to buy a Tacoma made in Japan? I'm not exactly sure myself. Daniel Scott, I picked up a 23 in December. TRD Off-Road Ice Cap, I am in love. That's a great color, by the way. Mail order gamers, the only way I like the new Tacomas and Tundras is if all the chrome is deleted. Oh, I agree. I am a devout anti-chromist. And the another thing I love about the 4th gen 2024, there's no chrome on here, except for lights. I mean, you have to have some chrome, silver, or whatever, reflective surfaces and lights. But there's no chrome on this truck anywhere else. It's like they made it for me. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Elizardo, can we get 500,000 miles out of the 4-cylinder turbo? That's my question. We don't know. We won't know that until somebody does or doesn't, right? Christopher, what's the price difference between the Tundra and the Tacoma now? A few $1,000. Probably about the same, unless you get one of these Tundras that they're discounting, then you're going to be getting pretty darn close, you know. Pimp J, I had a T100 before they called them the Tacoma, and that little truck did everything I needed it to and more. I'm not sure. I think the T100 was actually the precursor to the Tundra, not the Tacoma, I think. I could be wrong. Ani says, nope. Dante, what will the numbers for the hybrids reflect? Yeah, it's a good question. Gary Exley, people who bought Fisker, what? Thought that was a smart buy. I'm not familiar with that. High Plains, I didn't say it had to be a truck, LOL. Troy Build Adventures, if you do the research between the Colorado and the Taco, you'll see the difference in value, Rob. Nah, you're just putting me off. If you knew the differences, believe me, you would say it. Scott Williams, wait till the turbos start failing. Again, that's conjecture. We don't know if that's going to happen. Ani64, the T100 was the last truck made in Japan. Before that, 2020, blah, 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 pickups. Landon Norris, just picked up a 2024 SR5. Love the truck, drives great, but the price was rough. Yeah, and you know what's really going to suck? Because here's what's going to happen. The only way out of this for Toyota, realistically, in my opinion, is to lower the price through rebates and incentives. So they're going to do that, and then what you and I paid for the truck, is going to make us pretty damn mad. I really didn't pay that much more than the third gen, in my opinion. I did pay more, of course, but I didn't pay 50 some grand, that's for sure. A Samosa, when the TRD Pro is coming out. Late summer, early fall. Kiki, Tundra made in Japan. I don't know. High Plains, most reliable motors are non-aspirated and port injected. You can't get the durability out of a DI and injection. A lot of people say that. TRD Lord, I have a 23 Pro. I was hoping to trade up to the new one when it was finally available, but I've heard it's going to be $86,000 up here in Canada, so I think I'll have to keep the one I have. Oh my God, $86,000, even Canadian, that's absurd. Mail order gamers, T100 is more like an early Tundra, but they were solid trucks. Yeah, that's what I thought. I still see T100s down here in South Texas every once in a while. Taco Driven, these new gen Tacomas definitely 10K overpriced. Anything close to real numbers have nothing in them. They are overpriced. Daniel Scott, do you miss the third gen in any way? I do not. Pimp J, you can get Toyota trucks made and built in Japan, but you have to import them and are mostly older vehicles, example, like the Toyota Hilux. Okay, so you'd have to pay to import it and all that and ship it over. I mean, by the time you do that, you might as well buy a new Tacoma and a half. That's not a cheap thing to do, you know? Pimp J says, or the Hilux or Helix Surf. I don't know. I don't follow them very closely, so I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to get on here, give the new pricing, or not pricing, the sales numbers rather, for the new Tacoma. We've got sales numbers, rewatch from the beginning if you want to see what those were. Also, I do have a video airing at 5 o'clock Central tonight. I'm going to run through these numbers, and then also we're going to compare them to the Nissan Frontier. And we're going to see if people are actually putting their money where their mouths are. Are people buying the Nissan Frontier now as opposed to the new Tacoma? We're going to see. TRD Pros are awesome looking. I agree. Why not the Helix? High Plains. You can buy a nice low mileage JDM trucks from importers for a lot less than new, most with D4 diesels, if you want that. I wouldn't want one. Roman is chilling, I guess, talking to his dad. I don't know. Taco Driven says, will you buy the Trail Hunter or TRD Pro? Probably not. I mean, if it's priced over 50 grand, I've already answered that. I'm not spending over 50 grand. Ani64, competition is good. I'm just waiting for the Stout. We'll see if the Stout comes. I don't know. The mini trucks are getting and still really popular. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if those mini trucks are just fads or if they actually continue on. I really don't know. Anyway, I'm going to get off here now. I'm going to go eat me some lunch because I'm hungry. I just wanted to get on, go through these sales numbers for you guys. Popular topic right now, hot off the presses. Thanks for being on. I will see you all later. And don't forget, click that subscribe button on your way out. Hit that notification bell and check out the video tonight if you want to know how the Tacoma is doing against the Nissan Frontier. Bye.